I kind of wanted to do a review of some interesting signs that I've learned and just expressing a whole lot of stuff verbally so that I can just get it off my chest because I realize how much tension I've been building up from just not being able to express myself, from focusing too much on like trying to learn things, on trying to write things, trying to finish up some books that I'm writing. And that's also a process of, it's very slow, very intensive, and there's a lot of expression that I need. Maybe this is a personality thing where I have a lot, I have a high need to verbally express myself and feel like I'm being understood, which when I'm talking to a camera, at least I have that feeling vicariously. So maybe this is just me not being a good enough loner to deal with just suppressing things all the time. That's a sign for suppression. Bottle something up. It's also like stress. That's absolutely the issue with not having social confidants that I'm like just talking with and I'm just chatting with. Oh god, I did a voice recording about the Twitch channel type of just chatting, and that's its own mess that's there. I would say that maybe that reflects something about society today where people don't really have a sense of just casually communicating with one another, just expressing yourself. Like there's the idea of vibing. Like, yeah, I'm just vibing, just enjoying time. And that's important, to enjoy time with your friends, to be able to be comfortable around people without having to talk all the time. But I recognize that I have this need for verbal expression, for just getting things out there. And it's so cathartic when I do it. It's like I haven't done this in a little over a month, maybe a little longer than a month, where I just have a camera and I just start talking. And it's a great medicine, absolutely. It's probably not something that I could do every day, and I don't know if this is something that's meaningful. Like I've done bunches of recordings like this, with either voice recordings or video recordings, that it's like, well, what's the point? And I guess that feels like a theme that I keep coming back to over and over, of, well, what's the point of this if no one's going to watch it or whatever? And the point is expression, and that's really the theme here. But what I wanted to talk about with this whole vlog thing is some signs that I've run into, sign language signs. When I talk about signs, I'm not talking like, hey, there's a stop sign that's on the road that I saw that was pretty interesting. No, we're talking about sign language here. So we're going to bring up some interesting things that I've run into when interacting with the mute culture and the deaf culture here in VR. I'm not going to sign out every word that I'm saying. This is more verbally focused because I am way overburdened with trying to do everything in sign, like all the time. So, the first one that I have, let's see if I can, I did it like that. It's supposed to be like P or like K or something. It's something like that is promiscuous. And that came up as at kind of a milestone, I would say, when I was talking in sign language. We'll get over these linguistic hiccups, just bear with me. So I was interacting with someone in sign language, and I had a completely inappropriate response to, how's your day? You know, how are you? It's a very simple question. It happens all the time when you're greeting other people. It's a great way to start a conversation. So let me just say it out straight. I had a girlfriend in VR, and it was a weird relationship. I mean, I don't want to say, oh, relationships are difficult and all this. It was something where we're like, we don't know if we'll get along really well or not. Let's try dating a little bit and see if our personalities collide or if we get along really well. The person was completely incapable of emotional investment. She has no understanding of emotional depth whatsoever, and I really hope that she doesn't see this. But I mean, she wouldn't care either, because she would be like offended for 2 minutes, and then she would completely forget about this, except when it's emotionally convenient for her to use it as like leverage to, like, you know, manipulate you, because that's what vindictive people do. I wouldn't say, I have not experienced whether or not she's vindictive, but she's definitely the type that would do whatever advantages her in that moment within the feeling that strikes her. So even if she does feel offended by saying this and saying, look, you have no capability of forming any emotional depth whatsoever. And I was talking about some philosophical concepts, and that's a huge, big mistake. Just one day that I open up, I'm talking about meaningful philosophical concepts about like what gives a person meaning, what gives a person value in who they are, and how do you have a meaningful place in society, and how can you have a meaningful society in general. Big picture ideas, and she can't follow the reasoning for that. A lot of people can't follow the reasoning for that, so I'm not striking that as like a huge fault. But I mean, you want to connect to people over meaningful things. If you can't connect to someone over something meaningful, that's not a meaningful relationship. So, yeah, it was probably a good thing that I like distanced myself from being emotionally involved with that person. They're a decent person as long as you're not emotionally invested in them, because they are not able to be emotionally invested back. The only kind of situation I would see where it works with someone who is really like fleeting with their attention, of, oh, I'll give this person attention for like 2 seconds, and then, oh, something else caught my attention over there, so now I'm going to completely ignore them and forget that they exist, which that's not a conscious choice that they make. It's just how their personality type is. The only kind of personality type I could see working with that is someone who is equally like jumpy, so that they're not like still expecting attention from the other person. They've already moved on to the next thing as well. Because when I'm really focused in on someone and I'm really giving them my heart and my soul in a conversation, when I'm trying to talk about something really genuine, that's that's what I'm trying to get at with like real expression, is trying to convey something that's genuine to the other person. That's that's meaningful connection, but cannot be done between just any two people completely at random whatsoever. You need to have some kind of back and forth going on there, and if the other person, the basic, most basic prerequisite for that is you have to be giving attention to the other person. If their attention is fleeting somewhere else, I don't see how they could make any meaningful connection whatsoever without that basic aspect of, I'm here with you, giving my attention to you. And if that's not there, I don't even.